Hi there everybody, it's Rich here, another video from my Fast and Fun channel. This video is going to take a look at answering all those questions that you've asked me over the last couple of months with regard to my Mercedes C350e plug-in hybrid. I had a question about battery performance, degradation of battery performance. In the 2.5 years I've owned the car, I've not really noticed any long-term degradation in battery performance, but that's quite difficult to do because the batteries, the performance of those batteries are greatly affected by other factors, mostly temperature. So when it's really cold, you're going to probably only get 8 miles, maybe 10 at most, battery life, whereas in the warmer, hotter temperatures you're likely to get sort of 15, so 14, 15, so you could be almost halving your battery life in the colder temperatures. And clearly that is also, battery life is greatly affected by how you drive the car, how you drive it and where you drive it. Harsher driving, harder accelerations, steeper inclines are going to kill that battery life. But if this question was more specifically around the long-term effect of battery degradation, in 2.5 years I've not really seen any. The second one was around why did some of the 350s come with the blue calipers and decals, specifically around here. Well, I can tell you, certainly the early cars, when I went to order this in 2017, they all came with blue calipers and decals. And that changed because on my order I got a notification in late 2017 to say my car was going to come without the blue calipers and decals. So the change was just about age related. So any car from the sort of the early 2018s won't come with the blue decals. It doesn't mean anything other than it was Mercedes' way of moving away from those blue calipers and blue decals. Quite a few questions on charging. How much does it cost to do a charge? Clearly that depends on the tariff, your energy tariff that you pay for. I worked it out probably about a year or so ago on the current tariff that I'm on, and it's give or take around about 75p for a full charge from no battery life all the way up to 100%. I've converted that 75p charge into theoretical MPG. And that equates to something in the region of about 70 miles per gallon, based on about £5 for a gallon of fuel, and I think a £5 per gallon of fuel is based on around about £1.10p per litre. So running it on electric is about twice as efficient. If you expect the petrol engine to only do mid-30s, you're going to get around about twice as efficiency. So you do want to be running it in electric where you can. Next question was around, can I charge in a normal 3-pin plug? Absolutely you can. My car is always plugged into the 3-pin. I've never had a charger installed at home. There was no need to. It's only a plug-in hybrid with a relatively small battery, so you can actually charge 5 just with a simple 3-pin external socket. How long does it take to charge? Somewhere between 2.25 and 2.5 hours, going from 10% charge, which is the absolute minimum that the car it won't degrade the batteries any less than 10%, and that's to do with protecting battery life, and up to about 2.5 hours will be the longest, up to 100% charge. Can you leave the charge cable plugged in all the time? Yes, absolutely. That's all I do. So whenever my car is parked at home, it is permanently connected to the 3-pin external socket, so it's permanently ready and full of charge. There's no issues. As soon as the car is charged, the car just disconnects the external power supply. Is the charge cable locked? In other words, to prevent it being stolen? Yes, it is. So clearly they could disconnect it at the power source at the 3-pin, but they can't get it out of the car. You have to physically unlock the car for it to unlock the power cable going into the charge socket. I've got another question here about, can you set a timer for charging during off-peak hours? The answer is no. Once the cable is installed and pushed into the socket on the car, it will start charging. The only way I can see of doing that is if you buy one of those devices that you push into the 3-pin socket with the 24-hour rotation to remove and add the power supply going through it. That's the only way I can see you doing it. I don't see much benefit to that, to tell you the truth, because even the tariffs between off-peak and on-peak are offset by the significant cost of using the fuel. So for me, whether it's high or low peak, get the electricity in there, get those batteries charged, and drive this car on electric as much as possible. Do I need to install a charge point at home? No, like I previously said, no need to do that. I've never had one installed. A simple external 3-plug external point is all you need. The car does come with 2 cables. One is a 3-pin at the end, just goes into a normal 3-pin connector. The second charging cable is one for a proper docking station, which will clearly make the charging process much quicker, but it's only just over 2 hours anyway, so generally that's never been an issue for me, and certainly not associated with the hundreds of pounds of installing a full charge point at home. Got a question about, can you switch driving modes whilst driving? And this is switching it from Eco through to Comfort, Sport, and in Sport Plus. Absolutely, there's just a little locker switch. You just switch and it will change the driving dynamics as and when you are driving along. You can also change between EV mode into hybrid, into charge mode, or into battery safe mode. So you can do all the different modes of operation on this car. You can do it whilst you're driving, which is great. What MPG can I expect for all-day driving? So that question about all-day driving, I'm assuming you've depleted your battery, you've used your battery for the first part of your drive, and then if you're just driving the car all the time, that MPG will come down, because the benefit of the electric is going to get a smaller benefit longer you use it over the full day. A whole day's driving, where I've done several hundred miles in a single day, you're going to be somewhere in the mid to high 30s per gallon. If you haven't charged it, is it worth putting it into charge mode? And this was for a viewer, I think, that couldn't have access to an external 3-pin socket, that said, could I just drive this in normal hybrid mode without being plugged in? It's certainly, you don't have to have it. You lose the benefit of those additional electric EV mode for the first 10 or so miles. So it's not, but you are losing one of the key benefits to the car. I've never actually looked at the fuel consumption, and when you put the car into charge mode, when the engine's got to run that bit harder to charge the batteries, is it more beneficial to do that or not? I wouldn't have thought so. So if it's not charged, my view is you probably just want to drive it anyway, just in normal hybrid with the engine running most of the time, and just when you're coasting or going downhill with the engine cut. It's probably not worth putting it into charging the batteries, unless I suppose you're going into a city centre, something like the London congestion zone, where you want to be on EV mode. Then there could be benefits of using it in charge mode there. One of the questions I've got, does it charge in eco mode? Yes, it does. So it will charge in eco mode, it will charge in comfort mode. And you can see that on the display screen. There's one of the screens that shows you the flow of power, and that's actually from the engine, or it's from the batteries. It's either going away from them to the wheels, or it's going from the wheels back into the batteries and to the engine. So yes, it does charge in eco mode. So there we go, that's the questions all answered, I hope. If you've got any more questions, please drop me a message on the channel, and I'll try to get back to you with any questions or queries you've got with regard to this car, or in fact any of my cars at all. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, please subscribe and stay tuned, because there'll be another video coming up very soon.